I'm here with my good friend Jaco, Lanky Jake, Botha, and he's a local musician, and he's going to be the first guest on the inaugural episode of Wisdom Behind the Wheel. Oh, there you go.
That's such a fantastic name.
It's not a bad name. I just thought the alliteration would be
Wisdom
Behind the Wheel. So you better say some wise stuff, Jaco.
Okay, wisdom. Don't you think alliteration is a weird word?
That is a very good point. That is a very good point, actually. See, before we get started, Jaco, why don't you give us a bit of an introduction about who you are, what you're about, and maybe your kind of like entrance into the musical world or whatever.
Oh, okay, cool. My name's Lanky Jake. My real name's Jaco Pieter Botha. That's why I go by the pseudonym of Lanky Jake, which is Jake for short. I'm a 27-year-old musician, music producer, studio owner in Cape Town, South Africa, I guess. I've got a studio called Torment Studios. I do this full time. This is my job. I do pay the bills with music. Yes, it is possible. And I love what I do. I kind of got started in music. My mother was a music teacher. My mom studied music, a really good pianist. And we've always been, as a family, doing music lessons and listening to music since a really, really young age. And I think myself, like more than my brothers, always like stuck in front of the hi-fi with CDs of like weird things, even like listening to classical music when I was like 5 or 6. So I kind of did that, and then I always played music, started playing guitar when I was 13. Got my first guitar for my 13th birthday. And that kind of was it. When I was 16, I knew that I wanted to be a musician full time. I kind of halted on the being a musician front, just in terms of, parents being realistic, being like, hey dude, you can't make money like that. And I sure showed them. But I ended up studying sound engineering and music production in 2010. And then I did a online course through Berkeley College of Music in the States. They have a master's certificate in guitar, and I did one of those. And then I've worked at several jobs. I worked as a music, as a sound guy. I've worked in a music shop. I've worked now in a recording studio and as a full-time musician. And it's been really, really cool. Enjoyed it. Still not 100% where I want to be. We all want the house on the hill with the giant recording studio and enough money to go to France twice a year. But we'll get there.
Baby steps.
Baby steps.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've booked a trip to Thailand. So
really?
That kind of counts. We're going in July.
I mean, that's just a stone's throw away from France.
It's like the opposite.
Doesn't matter. Geography's not important.
Geography's not. We're going over the sea. That's important.
Yeah, that's great. That's cool. We want to speak a little bit about the music industry in South Africa, and the music industry in general, and like for you in terms of getting a bit of traction, doing things like gigging and getting involved in that scene. How long did that process take just to kind of get the ball rolling and get a little bit of momentum, or was that continuously happening while you were studying? Give us maybe a bit of background on that.
So I started playing in a blues band first, and we played some cool gigs, very much like bike and bar stuff, which is awesome. Like that guy that just rode past us. Which was cool. But then when I started doing solo stuff, it was very difficult to get my foot in the door. But I think partly because I was relying on other people to make it happen for me.
Right.
And then I really started getting traction once I actually created my own YouTube channel, uploaded like a couple of covers, and then started emailing people all over Cape Town. And then I started getting gigs because people were like, hey, that sounds really, really good. We can see it's a live cover. Can we book you?
Yeah.
So I think, a lot of people, it's not easy, but it's not easy to start a business either.
No.
And it's very much, you've got to treat it like that. So like, hey, I'm a product. I've got to be a good product, first of all. And then I've got to like package myself nicely, not look like a slob.
Yeah.
And then I've got to actually market myself well. And as soon as you start approaching it from that, then I think you actually start, stuff starts happening.
Yeah. I think like that part is actually kind of a difficult thing to wrap your head around as a creative person, is that a lot of the time we think like, oh, okay, you just get really good, or you work really hard at your craft if it's music, and then like after that everything will take care of itself. But it's kind of like this business entering into the business world can be quite like daunting, I think, for a lot of creative people.
Totally.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think that kind of stops, but I think the people who are sort of successful long term are the ones that kind of like get stuck into that. And yeah, I don't know, it's interesting.
I know a lot of people that are musicians that make a lot of money, like a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they're very, very good businessmen.
Yeah.
And they're really sharp.
Or businesswomen.
Businesswomen, yeah. Actually, businesswomen, more, like lots of buesswomen actually.
Just
more
keeping
so.
it PC.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, probably know more girls that make a lot of money from music than guys. But if you actually treat it like your business, you're professional, you've got a website, you're on time, you reply to emails, like basic stuff that any person who's actually running a business would be expected to do.
Right.
You can, and if you're good, then you can actually expect some success. It doesn't come overnight, and I think that's one of the things that musicians expect is, they're gonna...
Yeah. Sorry, man. Yeah, so continue.
Don't drive like him. I think a lot of musicians have this pipe dream of like playing somewhere and then having somebody discover them, and then the next moment they opening for the Foo Fighters in Times Square. And sure, maybe that happens, but it doesn't happen doesn't really happen anymore. And I think especially in the age, it's 2019 now. I think it's easier to get a start and easier to make a living as a musician now than it has ever been because of the internet.
Sure.
You can really, really get a lot of traction and get a lot of attention with your cell phone, an internet connection, a guitar in your bedroom.
Yeah.
You've got to work hard, and it's not going to be easy, and you've got to be consistent, but you can do it. It's not it's not the end of the world.
Absolutely.
But I think this is the time where we're going to go get some coffee.
Yeah. In fact, like with a little bit of editing, I can do like something quite fancy. Wait, I need to stop. Bing! Cheers. Awesome. Coffee.
Cheers.
All right, let's take a sip.
How do you rate the coffee out of 10?
It's actually pretty good. It's a solid.
Gotta be like 8.5.
Yeah, 8.5. We can do like, you know what? I don't really care. We'll do a shout out because even though this is no paid promotion, we'll do a shout out to the Village Roast in Nuduk because it was good coffee. Next time, they better flip and pay for our coffee.
Village Roast, if you're watching this, we appreciate free coffee.
If this video inexplicably goes viral.
Viral. 10 million views. We just post it on their wall and be like, guys, we give you a shout out. Please,
coffee forever. Coffee. Yeah, exactly. Brilliant.
That'll be the best.
Oh man. Okay, so cool. Let's just pick up where we left off. So we were talking a little bit about getting the ball rolling and as a kind of a working class musician. Like how important do you think well, for me, I know that variety is really important. I'm doing a bunch of things, and I know for you it's even more so. I mean, you're producing for other people, you're teaching, you're recording yourself, you're gigging. I mean, the list goes on. So how, at what point do you find that actually kind of works against you, and how maybe it doesn't work for you? Because I just know for myself, focusing on multiple things can be a bit challenging. Do you find the same thing, or not?
I think something that's quite tricky, especially if you're like a creatively minded person, is time management.
Right.
So if you get good at that, then you can actually do, you can have, in the morning from 9 until 1 o'clock, I'm going to do my music production, and then in the afternoon, I'm going to focus on this, and then I'm going to focus on that. And if you've got the discipline to work like that, I think you can do it really, really well.
Yeah.
But if you're talking out of experience, if you don't have that and you start watching YouTube videos or scrolling through Facebook, then nothing much gets done. And guys, I work in a studio by myself that has got no windows, so there's no one else to check up on me, and I work for myself. So if I'm not productive, then no one is going to come and be like, why didn't you do anything? Yeah, it's like if you're working at, if I was employed and I didn't do my work, my employer would be like, hey, why are you not working?
Yeah.
But because you work for yourself, sometimes you've just got to really watch yourself, and you've got to have a lot of self-discipline to actually make it happen.
Yeah.
Where it does become tricky is if you're wanting to put more time into one thing or another, but you've got to carry on doing another thing to get money to pay the bills.
Right.
So what I would really like to do is to entirely stop teaching. I've basically slowed down to only 2 afternoons a week.
Right.
And I just want to do music production and just gig. So just run my studio and just play only my original music.
Yeah.
But we'll get there. So until I get to that point, then I'll have to do these other things. So you just gotta you've got to suck it up. Like I could be working as a waiter in a restaurant, but I'm not. I'm teaching guitar. So you've got to weigh that up.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't necessarily want to teach this kid that doesn't really want to learn guitar.
Yeah.
But I could be working in a restaurant. So there's like, you've always got to look at it from that angle.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that is too true. Yeah, I think that really is trying to get that balance for me. I know that's a real trick.
Guys, there's a cyclist, and we're driving over like the windiest road in Cape Town.
In fact, let's take a quick view of that road, actually, shall we?
Check it out.
All right, here we are going down. Probably, I mean, it's been described by many as the most beautiful road in Africa.
Well, in the world.
Yeah, possibly in the world. So there you go. Lots of tourists. It is really, really beautiful. I just want to try and see if I can pan up a little bit.
I think we're gonna pull over just a little bit.
Like that. There we go.
That's pretty.
That's pretty.
See, that says single file.
Single file. If you're on Chapman's Peak and you're not cycling single file,
you deserve
there will be consequences.
Yes.
Not fatal consequences, but you'll get a stern talking to from someone.
Or like a broken leg.
No, either or. That's true. So I mean, we get to enjoy this beautiful, beautiful place in South Africa. Pros and cons of working in South Africa.
Pros and cons of working
as a musician in South Africa. Okay, I'll start off with the first pro. I mean, incredible, right?
Oh yeah,
Scenically.
This is pretty nice.
This is pretty awesome. You can give us the rest.
Are we going to turn the camera back around?
Yeah, we will. I just want to come around this corner because there's an epic shot. But just, you can just go
so
first.
let me talk. So, pros and cons of working in South Africa. So, pros of working as a musician in South Africa is the industry is not super saturated. And if you are good in terms of like you feel like your playing is up to standard on an international level, usually you can end up making a very good career for yourself.
Right.
I think there's lots of opportunity that can be taken, and I really do think that if you're willing to work hard and create your own opportunities, you'll get really, really far.
Right.
Also, being a musician in South Africa, because you have to be so tenacious and so thick-skinned, means that you develop a really, really hard work ethic and a drive, because that's the only way that gets stuff done.
Right.
So I've seen a lot of artists and music producers and sound engineers that do well in South Africa and then go overseas and absolutely kill it because they've got that South African work ethic.
Yeah.
Because life here isn't necessarily, I don't want to say as easy as it would be in the USA.
Yeah.
But it isn't.
I would say that.
Yeah.
I would absolutely
much life.
that. In terms of, well, really, just about any career.
Yeah.
I think it really is challenging. Yeah.
So I think if you're in South Africa, you're gonna make a lot less money than you would doing for the same amount of effort as what you would make in a country like America that has a really established music industry.
Right.
Also, just a lot more people and a lot more money than we do down here. So I think that attitude is something that's very valuable. And there's a lot of, like Kevin Shirley's hey, you guys can see me now. Kevin Shirley's an example of someone who's a South African-born sound engineer that moved to America, and then I think he's in Australia now.
Yeah,
I've got a message.
Yeah, just ignore it.
And he's made a tremendous career for himself.
Right.
But he's just like this guy that just never stops working.
It's like tireless work ethic.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that comes from being South African. There's I think something that we are, just because of our surroundings, is kind of built into us.
Yeah.
So that would definitely be a pro. What else? The people are cool. They're like
South African people.
Yeah,
they are cool. Absolutely. Yeah, that's true.
South African, most South African musicians I've had the pleasure of coming along with and working with have been like super cool and super keen to help out and to help out and collab and do stuff.
Yeah.
Like Dave and myself.
Yeah, man.
So that's something that's cool.
Yeah, great. We're about to get to the top, so we'll do a quick.
Ooh, no, yes, look at that.
Look at that. There's the glory.
Guys, that's the most beautiful bay in the world, as voted like Dave, you gotta go down.
Yeah, I just calm your farm. Okay.
There you go.
There we go.
That's
some prime footage.
Hart
Right?
Bay, South Africa. It's been voted the most beautiful bay in the world. Like how many times?
Like just
all of the times.
All of the times. They stopped giving the award because it just keeps going to the same place.
They stopped the category.
Yeah, love it. All right, back in business.
Is amazing.
Does that rock your world?
Let's roll. It made my day.
Just need to make sure I reverse and don't destroy everyone coming from the other direction. Or myself. Jaco, you got eyes.
If you see any cyclists, you can run them over.
Yeah. No, we don't do that. In South Africa, we're a merciful people. We don't run down cyclists.
We just kill them.
As much as we may want to know.
We don't.
Okay, we just need to get this one shot because this is an epic shot coming down here. Cool. Okay, so the next question that I want to chat about a little bit is this idea that like if you go into music or if you make the decision to become, say, like involved in the music scene and make a career out of it, that you're kind of at a disadvantage financially. Like if you do something else, you'll make like so much more money. So, you know, if that's like, for a lot of people, I imagine that is a big factor. Even if you're a musician, that is a factor certainly. So, do you think that like, I don't know, there's a degree of truth to that, or do you think that maybe, I don't know, that's kind of more people's perceptions than reality?
So I do think that there's a degree of truth to it, but at this, like, so it's a yes and no answer.
Yeah.
So yes, if you're starting out so say you go study music and then you go study engineering, the engineer is going to make more money walking into his job than you are as a musician.
Yeah.
Like that's just how it is.
Yeah.
However, he's going to be stuck in that, you know, there's a relatively like hard ceiling. So sure, you can make a lot of money as an engineer, but as a musician, there is no top end.
Yeah.
So I know, I mean, there's like, for instance, if you run a really successful recording studio, like you can make a lot of money. It doesn't happen overnight. That's also something that I think there's a lot of people that expect that. It's like they become a musician, they study music, now they're good and they start gigging, and then all of a sudden they're disappointed that they're not making, you know, 20,000 rand, or how much is that in dollars, like $2,000, $3,000 a gig. Yeah. And it doesn't, that's unrealistic. Like you've got to build towards that in Korea. Like you're not gonna walk into a job as an accountant and straight away make, you know, 6 figures a month. Yeah. It just doesn't work. Sure, after, you know, 10 or 15 years in that career, you're gonna do that. Yeah. But the same is with music. For me, there's 3 things that have made the biggest difference in terms of what, like, in actually making more money. Yeah. And let me list those off. I've thought about this.
Oh, you thought about it. Here we go.
Number one
Jaco's
is
3 herbs and spices.
My 3 herbs and spices. Other than being good at what you do, working hard, all of that good stuff, marketing yourself, there's 3 things. Sure. It's going to make a massive difference. Number 1, discipline. Like, have a routine, get up every day. Don't sleep too late. Don't party too much. Don't, like, you know, the people that are struggling musicians, they don't have any money and never have any gigs. Chances are they're smoking weed and drinking all the time. Yeah. Like, you're not going to make a lot of money if you just party. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry. So to have some discipline, exercise regularly, eat well, go to bed at a reasonable time, work hard, set goals, like, and not like very long-term goals, like, hey, this is my to-do list for the day, I want to smash this. Yeah. Once I've smashed this,
I would like to say that Jaco is really good at this. I've been in his studio and he has that list, and it like my list has like the same like 5 things on for like a week. Jaco is pretty on top of it.
I have a to-do list on a whiteboard that's right next to my desk, so I write what I need to do. Yeah. And yes, it makes it so easy because then I'm like, okay, cool, I've got to pay these people, I've got to invoice these people, I've got to do that. Once I've done those things, hey, I can sit and I can just make music and I'm not feeling guilty and I'm not feeling stressed. Awesome. So I do all of my admin, get that all out the way first, and then you can do the rest of the stuff. The second thing is writing a business plan. So actually being realistic, like finding out, meeting with other musicians in your area, finding out how much you can expect to make off gigs, find out what the going rate is, because I undersold myself when I started gigging. I was charging half of what other people were, and I could have made a lot more money initially, and just because I was too scared or too proud to just talk to them and ask them, like, call a brother up, inbox him, like, hey dude, how much are you like making a gig? Yeah. okay, I saw you were playing there. How much did you charge them? It's not, it's not top secret information. You're allowed to share that kind of information. So, writing a business plan, saying, hey, I want to make, let's say, 20,000 Rand a month. That means I need to have this many students.
Yeah.
And that means that I need to do this many gigs and have this many clients in my studio. And then it's not going to happen overnight. Say, okay, cool, for the next 6 months, I want to get to that. That's my goal.
Right.
So set a realistic, don't be like, hey, I'm going to make $100 million this year. No, you're not. Be realistic about it. So that's really, really helpful. And then the third thing is budget. Track everything you spend and track everything that comes in. I use QuickBooks for everything. It does all of my invoicing, all of my accounting, all of my quotes, everything. And I hate it as a creative person. Everyone despises accounting. But if you want to run a business and you want to be successful, you have to know what's going on with your money. If you don't know how much money is in your bank account, what bills you need to pay, come the end of the month, when your bills are due, you're going to get a fright. You're going to fall behind, and then you're just going to stress. And if you're stressed about that stuff, you can't be creative. Another thing is, don't borrow money. Avoid credit cards, avoid loans. Save up and pay cash for stuff. Because if you, talking from personal experience, if you've borrowed money or you're paying something off and you have a bad month and you fall behind, the amount of stress that causes on your life means you're thinking about making money the whole time and you're not actually doing what you want to do and being good at what you want to do. So I highly recommend not borrowing anything. I'm never borrowing money again ever in my life for anything, unless it's Full House. That's the one thing that I would borrow money for.
But I mean, this is, I think, the big issue is that, like, once you've got your creative skill set down, then you have to start actually really exploring, like you say, I mean, you keep mentioning this idea of running a business, and that's what it is. And it doesn't actually take away from the creative aspect. In fact, it gives you freedom to be able to focus on that instead of being like, oh man, I'm stressed out, and like sort of essentially demonizing the important like
it's the industry, man.
Exactly.
The mainstream music industry.
That's exactly it. Like,
have you ever heard that? Totally.
Yeah, definitely. So that's I think definitely wise counsel.
And I think what's pretty cool is if you get good at running a music business, then you can help other people, and people will pay you to help them. I've been through the release process with my music, and I've helped other artists do the same, and I've charged them for it because it's a service that they've they don't know how to do it, and they're willing to pay for it because they've seen, hey, you've done this. Now how do I do it? Oh, can you help me? Here's some money. That if you're providing value to people, people are willing to pay. So if you're good at it, you can help other artists out. You can sell your services, and a lot of the people that actually make a lot of money are people that do the business side of stuff. Not I don't approve of the ripping off of artists, because that's never cool. But you've also got to you have to know this stuff. It's not a let someone else deal with it. Like, you have to know what's going on with your money. You have to know what's going on with your financials.
Absolutely.
And instead of sitting and complaining about it and being like, I don't have enough money this month, or the music industry is screwed, because that's usually what ends up happening, is you just end up blaming someone else. It's like
a cop out.
It's a cop out. It's up to me. It's like, it's my responsibility to make more money. It's not someone else's fault. It's not someone else's responsibility. It's my fault, and it's my responsibility. And that sounds quite harsh, but once you approach it from that, you take ownership of your position, and you realize that you can actually, with these two things, with your own hands, actually put in effort, see results, and actually start enjoying what you do and actually making money from it. And the guys, don't be afraid to charge people. I think a lot of creative people are so insecure. This is also talking from personal experience.
And I agree with it. I agree.
It's like, I don't know how much to charge this guy. It's like, listen, charge him what you think, charge him what you want. And if he says it's too much, then bring it down. Don't start off at half of what you actually want. One thing that, when I started doing some original gigs, is I thought, okay, cool, I'm happy with this. Started charging that, and people started saying, hey, that's really cool. Like, it was no big deal. And then actually started upping it by 15% every time. And within a couple of months, my gig fee had almost doubled. People were still not batting an eyelid at paying it, which means I could have played the earlier gigs for the much higher fee. So don't Who are you hooting at?
That was my friend.
Just my home dog.
So you were saying something really important. Sorry.
So don't undervalue yourself.
Yeah.
And also, like, let's talk about exposure quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exposure.
I'll just do another round the block.
Bam.
We're on the
We're almost
hot
back
street.
at my studio. So let's turn around. Let's go around the block.
Absolutely, dude.
Exposure.
Absolutely.
So work for free. Like that sounds really silly, but work for free so that people can, like, who are actually important can see you. Like, I'm not gonna go play at like Bob's no-name pub down the road to 10 people who are really drunk and don't care that I am for free. That's not exposure. That's just stupid. Like, I'm not gonna go produce Billy's album who's gonna play it in his bedroom for free, because that's stupid. But if the biggest band in South Africa calls me and says, "Hey dude, we need a vocal session," and like, you know,
for some strange reason they don't want to charge you.
Yeah. Oh no. So for say like I meet them and I say, "Hey dude, why don't you drop around the studio and we'll do a track."
Oh yeah.
And I would do a recording session for them and I'll do it on the house.
Yeah.
That I've built that relationship, and if I do a really really good job, next time they come to me, I'll be like, "Hey, it's cool." And here's what you do: you don't work for, you don't just like, you know, let them have the free product and run away. You send them an invoice that's 100% discounted. So if my rate for recording a three-hour session, say $200, I don't know how much it would be because we don't live in America, but say it's $200, and these guys come in and they're really big artists and they're in my studio taking photos, Instagramming it, you know, putting all of this stuff on social media. I'm getting lots of exposure. We do the vocal session. I do an awesome job, much better than anyone they've recorded vocals with. Then they leave. I send them an invoice with 100% discount on it. Then next time they come to my studio, that's what they're expecting to pay. So there, I've just created a lot of attention because they're really big artists and they're running in my studio for me. And B, I've gotten a client. So like if someone asks you to do something, you know, for free,
yeah,
especially if they're like a really really large client and you feel like you'll actually get a lot of work and exposure from it, don't be scared to do it, but send them a 100% discount and invoice, and
so they see what they would be paying,
and next time and the thing is this is how you avoid being taken advantage of. Just next time they say, "Hey, can we do it for free?" Can you say, "No, this is my rate."
Yeah.
And if they go, "Oh, but last time I did it for free," I said, "Yeah, last time I did it for free, but you saw my 100% invoice, 100% discount."
Yeah.
And then you just be like, "No, that's my rate. This is my rate. I'm with it." And if you did a good enough job, they won't mind paying it.
Yeah.
You so like, and if you build that relationship with them, they're like, if they like you as a person, like you're not a pork chop. I was going to use a different word, but we want to make this family friendly.
Yeah, family friendly.
If you're, if you're a nice person to work with and you're really good at what you do and you're really professional, and they've had a better experience at your studio or with you as a musician than anywhere else, they're going to come back to you.
Yeah.
And sometimes using like the free, like, "Hey, come in for a free session, come in for a free hour in studio," that you can get really big clients like that quite often.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I mean, all of those things, it's not like one thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like cumulative.
Yeah.
Like all of those things together, that's just going to help you to take that next step and to get more traction, more business, and ultimately be able to like make a really decent and like a decent living from doing something that you love.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's the dream for everyone.
Yeah, that's the
really.
dream. It's like if you do something that really makes you happy and you can pay the bills with it, that's probably
huge.
That's the best.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people, it's kind of sad, like a lot of people settle for like, you know, something that they're maybe not like really like amped about when they wake up in the morning. And that really is a shame. And I think for a lot of musicians, that like that's the direction that they, or the lengths that we go to avoid that, like a 9 to 5 sitting behind a desk. Some people that's amazing, you know. For me, I would blow my brains out. So just from like, I want to get into like nitty gritty details. So my question is, what do you need to get off the ground in terms of physical items if you're producing music?
Okay, so
like you know, you want to produce either your own music or music for someone else. What are like the absolute essentials, and what stuff, you know, can you kind of pick up along the way, like in terms of physical stuff?
So absolutely, you need like a computer, a laptop. Okay. Chances are, if you're watching this on a computer, you can use that to produce music. You need a set of headphones.
Okay.
I would recommend starting off with some good headphones because they're a lot less expensive than buying a good set of studio monitors.
Right.
Also, if you're mixing in your bedroom, your room is really bad, which affects the sound pretty much just as much as your speakers.
Sure.
Then you're gonna need, so those two things. That's number one.
Just like give me an idea, sort of retail.
Oh, retail. So just a laptop, man. Like anyone, if you've got a computer,
It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be anything special. Like if you've got a family computer, or you're using a Mac, or you're using a PC. I use PC. Dave uses Mac. We constantly fight about it. PC Master Race. But so just having a laptop that you normally do your admin work on,
right,
as provided it's not like 20 years old.
Yeah.
It's gonna run GarageBand, or it's gonna run Reaper, it's gonna run something.
So those are softwares.
Yeah, there's a software. So you need that. Yeah. You need some sort of a DAW, which is a digital audio workstation for those of you that don't know. That's what you use to produce music. There's loads of them that are free. I highly recommend Persona Studio One. They have a free version of it, which is great. It's got more than enough that you need to get started. Once you've gotten those two and you can actually make like a beat or something, you're going to need a sound card and a microphone. Mm-hmm. So those can be had anywhere from like, I would recommend buying secondhand, don't buy new, especially when you're starting, because you can usually pick up stuff for super cheap. And if you don't like it, then a year down the line you can sell it for the same price that you bought it for. So if you actually like, hey, I want to do this, and then you do it for a while and you realize, hey, this is actually not for me, you can just sell it for the same price that you bought it for.
Right.
So that's what I recommend. Just a small 2-channel audio interface. You can get one for like R1,000 or like $100, $120. That you really don't need something super fancy. And then just a basic microphone. My personal favorite entry-level microphone, there's two, is the Rode NT1 or the Lewitt LCT 240.
Okay.
Especially I think the Lewitt's slightly more expensive, but it's an incredible microphone. It sounds great. And that is all you need. You don't need anything more. It's nice to have, and it makes it easier to, like in my studio, I've got multiple channels and nice speakers and multiple screens and a perfectly acoustically treated room. And it's really cool to have those things, but they're not necessary. Like if you give me a laptop and an audio interface and a set of headphones, I can do the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't need.
It's just like, it's nice to have.
Yeah, it makes so it's not necessarily just gear does matter, but all that it does is it makes the music creation process easier and faster. So if you're just starting out, it's pointless spending like R100,000 or $10,000 on a studio, because like that you're just going to lose that money. Yeah. You're not going to do anything with it, and in reality you're not going to know how to use half the stuff. So rather start off and just get the stuff and just start making music and start having fun, and once you're at a point where you're actually really, really good at
then
using your
branching
and the thing is while you're learning all of this stuff, do research. Like, hey, cool, I'm really into recording acoustic guitar, for instance. So what's a good acoustic guitar mic? And then you start looking at that. You start looking at preamps and different software. Like, hey, I want to produce house music, so I need a good synth, or I need new drum kits. Another thing I would recommend for anyone is Splice. That's a great thing to get right from the beginning. Splice is an online sample library that it's a subscription service. It's like really cheap. There's loads of good stuff on there. Awesome loops, awesome samples, awesome presets. You can use it and go crazy. So that's something else I would recommend.
Awesome. Cool, man.
Cool. Can we do the summary?
Yeah. Okay. Summary. Hit it.
Summary. So if you want to make a living doing music, number one, love what you do, be good at it, be a nice person.
Because that goes a long way.
Yeah, it goes a long way. You'd be surprised. No one wants to work with a dick. There you go. You can bleep
I'll bleep that out.
What else is there? Oh, work hard. Like, be on time, be professional about it. And then make sure that you've got a business plan, that you know where you're going, that you've got some goals. Make sure that you keep track of where your money goes, and what is that one? Make sure that you maintain discipline and stick to. Don't just write goals down. Actually execute them. It starts getting really addictive when you start like crossing stuff off your list.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like just keep at it. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not a get rich quick scheme. You can expect, I think, what's quite normal in the business world is to be at the business for about 3 years and then have it start actually making you money. So, you know, kind of sustaining itself for the first 2.5, 3 years, and after 3 years, then you start seeing actual returns. That's pretty normal. If you go read business books, that's pretty much what they say. Is like, give a business 3 years and then see how it's doing at that point before you decide to actually like close it down or start up another one, or just carry on with it. If after 3 years everything's going terrible and you hate it, just you know, maybe it's not for you. Like a lot of people. Also, you know, I want to dispel the myth that if you like music, you need to be a full-time musician. I think like if you enjoy playing music, and maybe you're not good enough to be a full-time musician, and you like your job working at the vet, and you like playing music with your friends, and playing the occasional gig, and you want to record an album and do that, then that's cool.
Yeah, no one's gonna say, "Hey, you're not doing it full-time."
Oh, that guy's gonna totally drive into the car. Ooh, okay, no, you didn't. You missed. That was so close. I wish the camera was pointing the other way.
Yeah.
Man, that was close.
That was very close.
Okay.
Jaco, before we wrap things up, I want to say thanks so much for doing this. This is awesome. And then, do you want to give a quick plug for what you got going on?
Cool. So right now, I am check me out on all the social medias at the Lanky Jake. That's where I'm at. And
I'll put the links in the description.
And my tour studios is called Tourman Studios. I've got some new music coming out end of March.
Awesome-ish. I didn't know that. That's cool.
The beginning of April with a music video and all of that stuff dropping. So
Flip, that's cool. Cool, man. Awesome, dude. Thank you so much.
Thanks
Appreciate
so much.
it, dude. Cheers.